This is the tale of the sad and clumsy giant of Glencoe. Once, there was a sad and clumsy giant of Glencoe. Angus MacAmish was his name, a good Scottish name. And he was a very kindly giant, but he was also a very clumsy giant, and a vegetarian. These things meant he did not fit in with the giants or the harpist. The harpist hates vegetarians. You are a vegetarian, aren't you? So then he didn't fit in very well. And if you're thinking, but aren't giants very reckless with the whole clumsy bit? I get vegetarianism not being good, but, you know, stories of them ripping people to shreds with reckless abandon. What about that? Riddle me that. That's where you're greatly misinformed. When it comes to the eating of people, giants are very precise. They use algebra and mathematical equations to try and work out how best to do it. So Angus really didn't fit in. And you see, the giants, they had a 3-strike system. And the first it came when Angus was trying to make a little girl laugh. And to do so, he thought he would eat hot chilies. Because I'm sure you all know, Scottish people can't eat chilies. And so he took one teeny bite of the teeniest, tiniest chili, and his face went bright red steam poured from his ears, and he needed water. And the nearest supply was a pond. He leapt into the pond and drank it dry, fish and all. He felt very guilty about that. On that day, he was a pescatarian. He didn't eat it. But this also was the personal bathing pond of the chief giant. So that was strike number 1. Strike number 2. Angus spied a kitten stuck in a tree. He would have to help it. And so he climbed all the way up, got onto the branch, tiptoed across, got the kitten into his arms. Everything was going great when the sneaky branch decided to break beneath his feet. He plummeted from the surface down straight through a roof. And inside the roof was a house. And inside the house, the chief giant was hosting a very important dinner party. Strike number 2. Strike number 3. Angus was in a china shop. And he was admiring a beautiful, delicate, fragile china bowl. And he was looking upon it and thinking, isn't it lovely? When a little old lady needed help with her bags. I say little, remember she was still a giant, so a giant little old lady. Perspective. Angus bent down to help her with the bags, and as he was bending down, his rather large derriere happened to nudge just a teeny, tiniest fraction the bull, and it fell over. And into the next item, and into the next, and into the next, and all the way around, and everything in the shop was flattened. And this shop was, of course, owned by the chief giant. And from this, we get the expression, bull in a china shop. It has nothing to do with bulls and everything to do with our Angus. So Angus was cast out into the cold world. And he looked for friends with humans, but they didn't want to be his friend. Why would they? Giants ate people, they could not be trusted. And so Angus became very lonely. And he came to reside in Glencoe, a place he thought to be the most beautiful in all of the lands. And he stayed there for so long that he made himself a song to keep himself company. Because you see, the clouds were sometimes a comfort, but when he could not hide his tears, they would send rains, so he did not have to. And all was this way for a very long time. And the song went a little bit like this.
Down in the riverbed, washed clean. I set my weary bones up against a tree and sleep, one step at a time, one day at a time, is all I can do. Step at a time, one day at a time, as best I can do. For I have seen kingdoms fall in a day, so shame. And I have seen loved ones part in pain, oh in vain. So lay on, lay on, lay on. I lift my eyes up to the sky, watch the birds fly easily. Oh, I lifted my toes in the river and splashed around gleefully. Oh, one step at a time, one day at a time, that's all I can do. One step at a time, one day at a time, as best I can do. For when the sacred one lifts her arms, the stars fall from the sky. And there will come a day when all roads end. Who knows when? Who knows when? So lay on, lay on, lay on, lay on, lay your burdens down.
One night, everything changed. And Angus, he found himself staring up at a rare and clear starry night sky. The moon was full, and he wished he could pluck the stars and sit with them and talk with them as friends. As he stared up at the full moon, he saw the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. It was the silhouette of a dragon. And as he looked upon it, he fell in love with the dragon, and he wished for wings so he may fly away from his loneliness. And then suddenly, the dragon began to fall, and Angus realised he was going to have to help it. And to do this, he was going to have to leave GLEN COE. So by the time the sun's pink rays kissed his rosy cheeks, he was a very long way away. In the morning, he came across a strange sight. There was a group of men huddled around a boulder, and they were trying to move the boulder from the road to get it out of the way, but they were incapable. So Angus approached and they went to run away, but he promised his kindness. And to show it, he was going to move the boulder. And he came up with a plan to do this. He was a giant, it wouldn't be difficult. He would simply push the boulder out of the way, nice and easy. Giant. But he hadn't considered a particularly slippy patch of slippy mud. And he certainly hadn't considered what might happen when his foot slammed into it. Well, he was flying high into the morning sky and he fell down face first straight into the boulder and split it in two. The men cheered as the path was cleared, and they all agreed that although his methods were unconventional, they were certainly effective. They would tell tales of his kindness. Angus smiled with a luckily full set of teeth and went on into the afternoon. As the afternoon came, Angus found himself another strange sight. This time, a flash flood had flooded a river, and a family was stuck, separated. Parents on one side, children on the other. What were they going to do? Well, Angus was going to help. And to help, he came up with a plan. He was going to stand in the middle of the river and pass the children over, nice and easy. He was a giant, so it was a good plan. But he had not considered a particularly slippy patch of slippy grassy banks, and he certainly had not considered what might happen when his foot slammed into it. Well, he was then flying high into the afternoon sky, and he fell down with his back to the river, head on one side and feet on the other. The children, of course, saw he was meant to be used as a bridge, and so they ran across him into their parents' embrace, and they all thanked him, agreeing that although his methods were unconventional, they were certainly effective, and they would tell tales of his kindness. And Angus, with a mild concussion, set off into the evening. And as he found himself in the evening sunset, he was atop the tallest peak in all of Scotland, Ben Nevis, and he could see for miles and miles. And then he could see the dragon. He could see where it had fallen. It was in giant territory. What if it was yes? It was them. They must have brought it down. Surrounding it they were with rulers and protractors, figuring out how best to eat it. Horrible giants. Angus needed to help, so he came up quickly with a plan. He was going to jump up and down and shout very loudly to create an avalanche. And this would bury the giants, and the dragon would be safe for its fiery breath. And it was a good plan. But Angus had not considered a particularly slippy patch of slippy ice, and he certainly hadn't considered what might happen when his foot slammed into it. Well, he was sent flying high into the evening sky, and he fell down with such force that snow and ice began to come with him as he tumbled down the mountainside. An avalanche has started! Ha-ha! The plan was working! Small problem, he was caught in the middle of the plan, but he'd work that out later. They careered into the giants, knocking them down, and the dragon was saved. Huzzah! But Angus was stuck, and no matter how hard he pushed or heaved, he could not move the darkness from around him. And before long, he realised what was going to happen. And in that moment, he was simply happy that he had helped so many people in just one day. But then it was warm! How was it so warm? The dragon had saved him, of course, with its fiery breath. And it spared the giants too, and said that if they changed their nasty ways, they could live. And so, as I'm sure some of you know, giants to this day are vegetarians. They don't eat people anymore. Even veganism is a growing trend in the giant communities. Now, Dragon turned to Angus and asked if there was anything it could do to repay him. And Angus said there was nothing. But if Dragon fancied going for a drink, that would be very nice. Dragon did fancy going for a drink. They got on so well. You see, Dragon was also a vegetarian. And before long, they had fallen in love. And one night, many, many moons later, they found themselves staring up at one, the stars, and Angus was reminded of the first time he saw Dragon. And he told Dragon of the time he had wished for wings so he could fly away from his loneliness. And Dragon said that its wings were detachable. He was welcome to borrow them if he liked. But Angus said he had no need to be going anywhere. Now he was with Dragon. And thus ends the tale of the sad and clumsy giant of Glen COE. Good night, my boy, and dream sweet dreams.